Hi, everyone. I'm Keith Mathis with the Mathis Group. We are a premier ATP. Welcome to 7 Minutes to PMP Mastery. Today's video is going to talk about contracts for Agile and hybrid projects. So contracts are legally binding agreements between a buyer and a seller that define what will be delivered, how performance will be measured, how payment will happen, and how risk is shared. For the PMP exam, do not think of contracts only as legal paperwork. Think of them as project control tools. A contract clarifies the scope, the schedule, the costs, the responsibilities, acceptance criteria, change procedures, dispute resolution, and closure requirements. The project manager does not usually own the legal authority to rewrite contracts alone. The PM manages contract performance, monitors sellers' work, documents issues, and follows the procurement management plan and works with the procurement legal, the sponsor, and stakeholders when contract changes or claims arise. Now, if you've watched the other video that we have on contracts for predictive projects, you'll notice we start off with this same definition. The reason is on Agile and hybrid, so much of hybrid will have components that are very much like a predictive. So this is the only slide that will match that, but we did want to show you this so that you'd know what we were talking about. So let's look at Agile and hybrid projects and their contracts. They may support flexibility. Agile-friendly contracts may use incremental delivery, rolling wave scope, time and materials with a cap, a fixed price per iteration, or outcome-based agreements. The key is collaboration without abandoning the governance behind that contract. In hybrid projects, part of the work may be fixed, part may evolve. For an example, infrastructure work may use fixed price milestones, while software features use iterative delivery. The PM must understand which contract rules apply to each part of the work, especially on the hybrid side of the project. Agile type projects for the exam. Fixed price increment. Instead of one large fixed price contract for the entire product, the work is broken into smaller fixed price increments, releases, phases, or iterations. The exam logic behind this reduces risk because the buyer and seller can inspect results, accept usable increments, and decide what to do next. Best PMP mindset for this is used when the buyer wants cost predictability, but the product still can be delivered incrementally. The trap sometimes with this contract, do not assume a fixed price always means traditional waterfall. Agile can use fixed price increments if the scope is managed in smaller pieces. Not to exceed time and materials. The buyer pays for actual time and materials, but the contract includes a ceiling amount that cannot be exceeded without approval. So you might see a time and materials not to exceed 300,000. The logic behind this for the exam is this gives Agile teams flexibility while protecting the buyer from unlimited cost exposure. The best PMP mindset, it's good when scope is uncertain, but the buyer still needs budget control. The trap for this contract is a regular time and materials contract can become risky if there's no cap, no performance monitoring, and no acceptance criteria. Graduated time and materials. The seller rate changes based on delivery performance. For example, the seller may receive a higher rate for early delivery and a lower rate for late delivery. The exam logic for this aligns seller incentives with faster value delivery. The best PMP mindset for this is that you use incentives to encourage outcomes, not just effort. The trap is do not choose this simply because the project is agile. It works best when performance targets are going to be clear and they're going to be measurable. Dynamic scope contract. Time and cost may be fixed, but scope is flexible. The customer and team prioritize the backlog so the highest value items are delivered first. The exam logic for this fits Agile because not every feature must be locked up front. The buyer gets the best possible value within a fixed budget or timeline. The best PMP mindset for this is it protects business value by prioritizing the backlog. The trap for this contract is that dynamic scope does not mean uncontrolled scope. Changes still go through backlog refinement, prioritization, and agreed governance. Early cancellation options. The buyer may end the contract early if enough business value has already been delivered or if continuing no longer makes sense. The exam logic for this: Agile supports frequent inspection. If the product reaches sufficient value before all backlog items are complete, stopping early may be the best business decision. The best PMP mindset for this would be deliver value early and avoid spending money on low value features. The trap on the test is do not assume cancellation is negative. In Agile, early cancellation can be a value maximizing decision. So we reach the value, so we have canceled the contract. Fixed price with variable scope. The budget and schedule are fixed, but the extra features delivered may vary based on backlog priority. The exam logic. This is common in Agile exam scenarios. The team delivers the highest priority work first and adjusts lower priority scope as needed. The best PMP mindset: if constraints are fixed, optimize value by managing scope through prioritization. The trap on the test for this would be do not treat every scope change as a formal contract dispute if the contract already allows backlog reprioritization. Value-based or outcome-based. Payment is tied to business outcomes, delivered value, milestones accepted, increments, or measurable benefits rather than just work hours. Examine logic would be PMI favors value delivery. Agile contracts may reward outcomes instead of effort. The best PMP mindset for this is you align seller incentives with the customer value. The trap is do not confuse activity with value. The team worked many hours is weaker than the team delivered accepted usable functionality. So make sure that you catch that in the test question. Multi-tiered contract structure. The contract may include a broad master agreement plus smaller work orders, releases, or increments underneath it. The exam logic. This allows governance of all of the overall level while preserving adaptability at the delivery level. The best PMP mindset. Use structure to balance control and flexibility. The trap. Do not assume the entire contract must be rewritten every time the backlog changes. So let's give you a PMP level test on Agile. So an Agile project team is delivering a customer-facing product. During a sprint review, the customer says the latest increment meets the acceptance criteria, but no longer supports a newly discovered market need. The product owner wants to add the new capability immediately, but the development team says it would disrupt the current sprint goal. What should the project manager do first? A, direct the team to add the new capability during the current sprint. B, ask the product owner to place the new capability in the product backlog for refinement and prioritization. And C, escalate the issue to the sponsor because the customer has changed the requirements. Or D, extend the sprint so the team can include the new capability. So look at those and see if you know the answer. Your answer should have been B. B is the most correct answer because in Agile, new information should be captured, refined, prioritized through the product backlog rather than forced into the active sprint. This protects the sprint goal while preserving adaptability, which is a common PMP style Agile scenario emphasis reflect in current PMP practice resources. So typically in a sprint, you do not have change orders for the purpose of your test. So you're not going to inject something into the sprint. So why are the others not correct? A, disrupts the team self-management and sprint goals. C, escalates too early. This is a normal Agile change management situation, so there's no reason to escalate this. And D, changes the sprint time box. If you have a 2-week sprint, your time box is 2 weeks, and that means whatever we deliver in 2 weeks. You don't extend a sprint on this test either. So changes the sprint time box, which weakens Agile discipline and predictability. So some simple exam rules for the PMP exam. So if you are looking at traditional contract, you need to think about how do we lock the scope, because that's really what you're doing on the traditional side. If you're looking at the Agile contract, you should be asking yourself, how do we protect both parties while allowing the team to deliver the highest value as learning occurs? And so that's the real perspective on both of these types of contracts. So as we close on this video, I hope this has helped you a little bit as we talk about Agile and hybrid contracts. And we do PMP boot camps every other month virtually. I do those myself, and so I'd love to have you in a boot camp. Just go to our website, take a look at the next one that's coming up, and I look forward to seeing you in a boot camp. Have a great day. Bye now.